Most investors spend hours every week digging through earnings transcripts, building spreadsheets, and comparing peer metrics one tab at a time. I used to do the same until I found Fiscal.ai. And what made me stop looking for anything else is simple. The data quality is institutional grade and it's all in one place. And before we get into it, if you decide Fiscal is right for you, there's a link in the comments with a 15% discount at no extra cost to you. Let me show you exactly how I use it across my 5 key factor framework using Microsoft. First, I need to understand the business, because if you don't understand the business, the numbers don't matter. This is where the Investor Relations tab inside the Analysis section becomes incredibly powerful. Fiscal aggregates everything in one place. Earnings call transcripts, slide decks, investor days, press releases, and SEC filings. You never have to go digging through a company's investor relations website again. But the feature that saves me a lot of time here is the AI summary. For any document, Fiscal can generate an AI-powered summary, which you see here on the right. So I can extract the key takeaways in seconds rather than reading through 40 pages. For Microsoft, this is how I quickly identified the core themes, which are Azure growth, Copilot adoption, and enterprise AI expansion. What used to take an hour now takes minutes. Once I have a qualitative view of the moat, I go straight to the numbers. And this is where Fiscal's charting section earns its place in my workflow every single week. This used to be the most painful part of my research process. In the charting section, which we have here, I can add Microsoft, search for return on invested capital and return on equity. It's on the quarterly view right now. I want to change that to the annual view. And now you can overlay them across 10 years or longer if you're on a max plan. And see exactly how the trend is moving all in one clean view. When you're trying to determine whether a company's returns are genuinely strong or just average for its industry, this kind of visual, instant comparison is invaluable. When I look at growth, this is where Fiscal's depth really starts to shine, and where most research platforms fall short. Let's start with the headline growth numbers. For Microsoft, I can pull up total revenue growth, net income growth, and earnings per share growth, all in one place. Across a full decade or longer, with clean visual charts that make the trend immediately obvious. No spreadsheet building, no copying numbers from annual reports, it's all right there. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is the single feature that makes Fiscal worth it for me. Once you've seen the headline numbers, Fiscal lets you go one level deeper with the segments and KPIs. These are company-specific metrics pulled directly from public filings. The exact numbers that management focuses on and that serious investors track quarter after quarter. For Microsoft, I'm looking at Microsoft Cloud revenue. Microsoft Cloud revenue has grown at a staggering 37.7% compounded annual growth rate. While the overall revenue growth number looks solid, it's this segment view that reveals where the real compounding engine of the business actually lives. And that's the point. By studying the segment KPIs alongside traditional financials, you start to genuinely understand the company at a deeper level. You learn which metrics management talks about on every earnings call. You learn which numbers investors are laser focused on. And you learn where the growth is actually coming from, rather than just taking the headline earnings per share number at face value. Fiscal's proprietary segments and KPI database currently covers over 2,100 global companies. What used to require expensive institutional terminals or hours of manual filing extraction is now a few clicks away. For financial strength, I work directly inside the financial section, specifically the balance sheet and cash flow statement. These are the two statements that tell me whether a business is genuinely healthy or just masking problems behind strong earnings. We can find the balance sheet and cash flow statement in the financial section. Data can be viewed in a standardized and as-reported view, which matters when you're comparing companies across different accounting treatments. For Microsoft, we can now analyze its total cash and cash equivalents and its total liabilities section. For total free cash flow, we go to the cash flow statement and we can find these amounts on the bottom. Now here's a feature I want to highlight that most reviews completely miss. And it's exclusive to Mac subscribers. click through Auditability. Inside the Financial section, you can click on any individual data point, and Fiscal takes you to the exact page and section of the original SEC filing where that number came from. At the moment, this option is only available if you're on the Max plan. Think about what that means. Every number you're building your investment thesis on, you can verify it in seconds straight from the source. That removes one of the biggest risks in investing, trusting the wrong data. That level of transparency is something you would normally only find on terminals costing thousands of dollars per year. And it's one of the main reasons for choosing the Max plan. One more thing worth flagging for Max users is that you can export all financial data, including segment and KPI data, into Excel. Older reviews listed no Excel export as a limitation. That's no longer true at the Max tier. For valuation, this is where Fiscal's charting tools really come into their own, and I want to show you how I use them. The first thing I do is pull up the forward PE in the charting section. Fiscal's graphing lines let you select the median, minimum, and maximum forward PE over your selected time period. Now you can see immediately whether Microsoft is trading near its median, its minimum, or its maximum forward PE. Then I take it one step further and run a peer comparison. Let's add some peers. Amazon, Alphabet, and SAP. So that we can also see how Microsoft compares to its peers. That combination of historical context plus peer context gives you a much sharper picture of whether the valuation is genuinely attractive or just superficially cheap. And this is where most investors make mistakes. They look at one metric in isolation. Next, I move to the overview section where we find the earnings per share long-term growth estimate. This is the number I use to calculate the long-term forward PEG ratio. Having this readily available without searching through multiple sources keeps the research process clean and consistent. Finally, the estimate section. This is where Fiscal shows you what analysts expect earnings per share will do over the coming years. And crucially, it also shows you the long-term revision trends. Are analysts upgrading their estimates over time or quietly cutting them? That revision trend is often more telling than the estimate itself. And it's something most individual investors never check because it's simply unavailable on other platforms. Beyond the 5 key factors, here are a few other things worth knowing. Dashboards and monitoring. This is one of my favorite parts of this platform for day-to-day monitoring. You can add fully customizable dashboards with the companies and metrics you care about. You can also check the performance section to see how the companies in your watch list have performed over time. And the news section to stay on top of the latest developments. Another great feature is the insider and ownership data. Here you can find institutional ownership from 13F filings and insider buying and selling from 4.4 filings. Next up is the screener, which you can use on paid plans. This lets you filter stocks across hundreds of metrics. For example, I can screen companies with a high return on invested capital, combined with a strong 10-year earnings per share CAGR, instantly narrowing down a universe of thousands of stocks. And finally, global coverage. This is not just a US tool. Here I'm pulling up ASML, the Dutch semiconductor equipment giant, and I get the exact depth of financial data, segments and KPIs, and charting. Fiscal covers North America, Europe, APAC, Latin America, the Middle East, and Africa. I promised the full picture, so here it is. No affiliate review should skip this part. Fiscal is web-based with no dedicated iOS or Android app. For deep research, this is fine. You want a large screen for this work anyway. But quickly checking something on your phone isn't ideal. Fiscal used to have a conversational AI feature built into the search bar. That's no longer there. Pricing has moved up. The Pro plan is now at $49 per month and the Max plan at $99 per month. The product has matured significantly, but the price increase is real and worth knowing upfront. Fiscal doesn't offer an Excel add-on for free and Pro users. Only on a Max plan you can export data directly. So from a pricing perspective, is it worth it? Here's where things currently stand from a pricing standpoint. With the free plan, you have limited data history and basic features. With the Pro plan at $49 per month, you have extended data history, extended KPI data, and also equity research. With the Max plan at $99 per month, you have even more extended data, unlimited dashboards and events, equity research, data auditability to filing, as reported and standardized financials, and export and download data. The APIs for developers and institutions building on top of Fiscal's data infrastructure. With my link below, you get 15% off. That brings the Pro plan down to around $42 per month and Max to around $84 per month. If you're spending even a few hours per week researching stocks, this pays for itself very quickly. Fiscal is the best value fundamental research tool I found for individual investors. It will not replace your own thinking and judgment, and it's not trying to. What it does is eliminate the grunt work, the manual data collection, transcript digging, the peer comparison spreadsheets that used to eat hours every week. There's no mobile app, the AI copilot is gone, and the pricing has moved up meaningfully. Those are real cons, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But the core product, the segment KPIs, the charting, the peer comparisons, and the AI document summaries. And for Max users, the click-through auditability straight to the source filing is still the best combination of depth, speed, and usability I have found at this price point, full stop. If you want to speed up your research process, try Fiscal for free using the link below. And if you decide to upgrade, the 15% discount is already applied. Nothing extra you need to do.